Los Angeles, an early summer morning. Outside the high-rise building of LNN Liberty News Network, the sun's rays bathe the parking lot still gleaming with morning dew. The city's smog lingers in the slight heat. Luxury cars are lined up, each waiting for the valet's check. Amidst the sleek vehicles, a black SUV pulls up and the driver's door opens. Ethan Miles, a black tech entrepreneur, steps out, straightening his tie before handing the keys to the valet. He's not the flashy type, a well-fitted charcoal suit, a light blue shirt, a subtly patterned tie, and polished black Oxfords. At 42, Ethan has the composed bearing of someone who's weathered many ups and downs. He's tall, lean yet solid, with broad shoulders. On his face, deep-set eyes reflect a thoughtful mind, set against dark skin and a gentle smile. Walking beside him is Aisha Bradford, his personal assistant and office manager. Aisha wears a stylish navy suit, her hair neatly tied back, radiating intelligence and caution. She holds a thick folder containing all relevant materials for today's interview. "Ethan, let's head in," Aisha says, her tone tinged with concern. "We only have 10 minutes left to prepare, and TV networks usually run a tight schedule." Ethan nods. "Thank you, Aisha. We shouldn't be late." "Still, I have a bad feeling." Aisha isn't surprised. She knows how hesitant he was to accept the invitation from Sunrise Today, one of the nation's top talk shows hosted by Colette Rivers. Colette is famous for her incisive takedowns, able to steer any interview toward the most controversial angles. Her guests either shine brilliantly or fall mercilessly under her cross-examination. Ethan Miles's background. Ethan Miles is the founder and CEO of Viridian Tech, a leader in data encryption and AI. Born and raised in a working-class neighborhood on the outskirts of Chicago, he was raised by a single mother who worked as a nurse. His father died in an industrial accident when Ethan was 6. Life was hard, and he learned from an early age how valuable perseverance could be. He worked all kinds of odd jobs, waiting tables, shoveling snow, delivering newspapers, to help make ends meet. Eventually, he balanced 3 part-time jobs while pursuing a computer engineering degree. He tried multiple small startups, facing countless rejections before Viridian Tech took off with a cutting-edge data encryption technology. Recently, the company secured a $200 million defense contract with the Department of Defense, surpassing some of the biggest long-standing names in tech. This wasn't luck, as rumors suggested, it was the culmination of 2 decades of relentless labor, sleepless nights, trial and error, and an unbreakable spirit. But Ethan knows every triumph comes at a price. Once Viridian Tech landed that government contract, tabloids began hinting it was thanks to diversity policies rather than merit. The rumors blossomed into fierce debates on social media. Now, Sunrise Today had sent an invitation. "Ethan, why did you accept?" Aisha asks, though she already knows. "Because they're spreading the wrong narrative. If we don't speak up, the story will just keep growing," he replies, shrugging. "And it's national TV, maybe this is my chance to set the record straight." They enter the lobby. It's a sleek space, all marble floors and glossy walls covered with posters of famous guests, A-list singers, politicians, actors. "Please proceed to the green room," a young assistant says briskly. "We'll mic you up in 5 minutes." Aisha and Ethan exchange looks. Again, it's that same quick, efficient style, no small talk, no pleasantries, just in and out. Ethan can't help but feel uneasy. But he's no stranger to high-pressure situations. LNN's green room is on the 5th floor, a minimalist space, cream leather sofas, a magazine stand, and a TV on the wall. The steady hum of air conditioning makes the room cool, almost chilly. Ethan takes a seat, trying to steady his breathing. Aisha hands him a water bottle and glances at the overhead television. The show is live, featuring a celebrity chef cooking demo and some sensational celebrity scandal. Followed by a news ticker that reads, "Up next, Black CEO lands a $1 billion deal, is it merit or diversity?" Aisha frowns. They keep pushing this diversity angle. Ridiculous. Ethan gives a wry smile. That's going to be their main hook. But if Colette Rivers thinks she can corner me, she's in for a surprise. Just then, the green room door opens and another assistant appears. "Mr. Miles, please come to makeup. You're on in 10 minutes. Ethan stands. Aisha exhales. "Remember, don't let them control the narrative. Stay calm." He nods. He's done dozens of interviews. But he can almost taste the tension in the air this time. The Sunrise Today studio is designed to appear inviting, with pastel yellows and soft blues. A modest live audience is seated in a small bleacher area, giving an intimate feel yet ensuring every eye in the room is fixed on the guest. At the center of the set is a glass coffee table flanked by 2 upholstered chairs. Colette Rivers is already seated. She wears a striking red dress, with carefully styled hair and flawless makeup, sporting a polished grin that doesn't quite reach her eyes. She has the poised demeanor of a powerful figure. Not merely a talk show host. "Welcome back to Sunrise Today, everyone," Colette's voice rings out. "Our guest today is a figure garnering national attention. Let's introduce Ethan Miles, CEO of Viridian Tech." There's polite applause as Ethan walks on, nodding in acknowledgement. He takes his seat across from Colette, shoulders squared in quiet confidence. "Thank you for having me," Ethan says, interlacing his fingers. First of all, Colette begins with a practiced smile. "Congratulations on your $200 million contract with the Department of Defense, quite an achievement." Ethan returns a courteous smile. "Thank you. It's the product of many years of hard work by our entire Viridian Tech team." Colette nods. "I appreciate your modesty, but there are some who suggest that Viridian Tech got lucky, that you were boosted by government diversity policies. What's your take on that?" The question comes faster than Ethan expected, yet he remains composed. "I've heard that argument before," he begins calmly. "But the truth is, Viridian Tech was chosen because we offer the best encryption solution out there. It's the result of extensive research and development, not luck or any special favors." Colette tilts her head. "But it's true, isn't it, that the government encourages more contracts for minority-owned businesses? Are you denying that played a part?" Ethan meets her gaze. "These programs exist, and I believe they're necessary to open doors for those long excluded. But to secure a major contract of this size and intense competition, policy alone doesn't cut it. You need real capability." Colette gives a pleasant yet tight smile. "So, you'd say Viridian Tech was chosen purely on merit?" Ethan's tone is firm. "We have the strongest technology in data security. That's it." Colette flips through her notes. "Well, some experts also point out that you grew up in a working-class neighborhood in Chicago. Your mother was a single-parent nurse, life was unstable at times. You didn't attend an Ivy League university nor come from wealth. How did you manage to rise so high, outcompeting legacy tech giants?" Her insinuation is clear, that someone must be pulling strings for Ethan. His heart quickens, but he keeps his voice measured. "I believe in the power of hard work and innovation. From a young age, I took on multiple odd jobs just to afford school. Through college, I juggled 3 jobs, teaching assistant, coffee shop worker, and freelance coding. There was no special mentor or patron if that's what you're implying." Briefly, Colette leans forward, studying him like a hunter eyeing prey. "So you're quite confident you made it entirely on your own?" Ethan nods. I did, alongside my colleagues and employees, people who share the same passion. If someone like me doesn't work twice as hard, we'd never even get the chance to be noticed. Colette purses her lips in a faint smile. Interesting. But you must know countless other startups out there also work hard and have ideas just as good. So why haven't they secured a government contract or become as well known? Ethan arches an eyebrow. That's exactly the problem, isn't it? Sometimes they don't get noticed. Or they're underfunded. Or they lack the good fortune of meeting the right person at the right time. The system isn't as fair as people think it is. A hush settles over the studio. The audience waits for Colette's response. She appears to shift into attack mode. Colette exhales slowly and lifts another note card. All right, let's dig deeper. Some say black entrepreneurs today enjoy special favor from the media. Your rags to riches story sells easily. Ever consider that you might be benefiting from publicity around your overcoming adversity narrative? The question lands like a knife. Ethan can feel the tension in his jaw, but he steadies himself. If you're implying we get too much attention, take a look at the stats. More than 90% of Fortune 500 CEOs are white men. Many major VCs pour funding into white-owned startups. So where exactly is this so-called extra media favor for us? Colette keeps smiling, but a strain in her voice emerges. Not denying those numbers, but the argument is that we've come a long way, and you're living proof the system isn't closed to black entrepreneurs. Ethan takes a deep breath. A vivid flashback reminds him how his mother struggled, how he was often judged by teachers and peers who believed kids like him couldn't be top tier in math or science. Just because one person escapes a burning building doesn't mean the fire isn't destructive. He says, I managed to survive, but countless others have been burned by prejudice. So no, I don't prove the system is fair. An undercurrent of murmurs runs through the audience. Some frown, others seem supportive. Colette glances at the producers, as if deciding how far she can push it. But you'd agree we now have policies that favor minority entrepreneurs. Aren't all these doors open to you now? Ethan almost laughs. Open doors? I was denied dozens of loans, turned down by countless investors who couldn't imagine a black kid from a working-class background building a world-class tech company. I had to be twice as good just to be taken seriously. And now that I've found some success, people are claiming, oh, must be because of diversity policies, right? Silence grips the room. For a split second, the stage lights illuminate a ripple of tension across Colette's face. She fidgets slightly. We'll need to pause for a short commercial break. Stay with us. Everyone. The cameras cut, the stage lights dim. Colette jumps up, face flushed. Ethan remains seated, calm, though his pulse is racing inside. Within minutes, a leaked clip of the tense back and forth begins circulating on social media. Perhaps the show's production team hoped to edit it for the recorded version, but audience members or network insiders release the uncut footage right away. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, they all explode. Ethan Miles fires back, leaving host Colette at a loss for words. Are black entrepreneurs merely writing diversity policies? Hidden racism on live TV. Public opinion quickly polarizes. Some champion Ethan for calling out media hypocrisy, while others criticize him for playing the victim card, exaggerating the problem, or labeling him rude to the host. Meanwhile, in the green room, Aisha grips her phone, her face taut. Notifications and texts pile in. Ethan has returned to the makeup room. Sweat beading on his brow. Ethan, the internet is blowing up, Aisha says, eyes glued to her screen. They're calling you everything from a hero to a divisive troublemaker. You're smack at the center of a firestorm. Ethan loosens his tie, exhaling. He knew this was coming. He can faintly hear Colette continuing the show, defending herself by saying she's simply doing her job and that she respects diversity. On the drive back to Viridian Tech's Los Angeles headquarters, Ethan stews in his thoughts. As the car weaves through bustling streets, memories of his childhood surface. Growing up, he lined up for food stamps, watched his mother, drained from 12-hour shifts, still pick up overnight work just to feed her children. As he got older, he felt the suspicious eyes of teachers and classmates. A black kid can't be that good at science. Even during job interviews at prestigious tech firms, he'd get subtle rejections. You're not quite the right cultural fit. But he never gave up his dream of founding his own startup. The system had cast him aside more times than he could recall, and now that he succeeded, people dismiss it as special treatment. His frustration isn't just about personal accusations. It's about all the others who never get a chance to prove themselves. Aisha, riding shotgun, scrolls through her phone. We just got 2 emails from Focus Tech and Maxon Group. They want to discuss partnerships or investments in Viridian Tech. Apparently they notice how hot your name is. He chuckles bitterly. Ironically, Focus Tech refused to meet with me last year. Now they come running. Yep. One email praises you, while another one scolds you. Viridian Tech is exploiting racial media hype to attract funds. Ethan closes his eyes for a moment, sighing. Storm clouds have gathered. He won't dodge them. Later that afternoon at Viridian Tech's downtown LA office, an anonymous package arrives. Inside is a single sheet of paper with bold letters, "Enough." Around the same time, the company's main line receives threatening calls, condemning Ethan as an enemy of America, accusing him of racial profiteering. Aisha's face pales as she updates Ethan. He initially wants to ignore it, but the volume of threats escalates. "Ethan, we need to hire more security," she says urgently. "We can't be careless," adds Sam Carter, Viridian Tech's head of security. "We'll tighten building access, install additional cameras." Ethan reluctantly nods. He knows all too well that whenever a black individual speaks too candidly, there's a risk of backlash. And he's never been one to back down. The following morning, the LA skyline is surprisingly clear. Birds chirp outside potted plants on the office balcony. As Ethan steps off the elevator, Aisha hurries over, excitement lighting her face. "Ethan, we got a request from Channel Global. They want to produce a special segment on business, race, and the system, a multifaceted view." Ethan sets his briefcase down, raising an eyebrow. "Channel Global? The cable network with worldwide coverage?" "Exactly. They want you as the main guest, offering deeper insights into your story. They promise you an open format. No short time slots, plus a panel of experts, economists, sociologists, etc." He inhales deeply. Since the standoff with Colette Rivers, all the spotlights have been aimed at him. He could stay silent, letting the frenzy die out. But that might mean missing the chance to break the cycle of misinformation. He gazes out through the office's panoramic windows. Memories float back of times he stayed silent to avoid trouble. Finally, he sits, motioning to Aisha. "Tell them I'll do it, but on one condition: we have an equal say in shaping the show, no exploitative cut and paste. No cheap stunts." Aisha smiles. "I'll arrange it. This could be a real opportunity. I'm sure they'll give you a fair platform." He nods. Outside, a golden sun brightens the cityscape, though he can sense undercurrents waiting to surge once more. 2 weeks later, at Channel Global's Manhattan studio, Insight Today, with veteran host Carl Hess begins taping. It's a spacious set with a refined navy backdrop, 2 modern armchairs under soft lighting, and a large LED screen displaying the Viridian Tech logo and images from Ethan Miles's entrepreneurial journey. Unlike before, Ethan steps on set to a calmer vibe. The audience is curated: business students, social activists, investors, and some well-known personalities. Carl Hess, who has built a reputation as a thoughtful and fair interviewer, greets Ethan with a warm handshake. As Ethan takes his seat, there is hearty applause, not the perfunctory clapping from Sunrise Today, but something more genuine. "Welcome, Ethan," Carl says, kindly. "I trust we'll have a candid conversation about race, business, and the system today." Ethan nods, buoyed by the crowd's positive energy. The journey of a dreamer. Carl asks about Ethan's childhood, his mother's sacrifices, his multiple jobs, and how he spent his nights teaching himself encryption while peers were out partying. Ethan recounts the garage days of Viridian Tech: no desks, limited workspace, the team coding in shifts on the floor. The audience falls silent, riveted, occasionally breaking into applause, especially when Ethan describes how Viridian Tech broke out after preventing a major data breach for a client, earning its first wave of recognition. Clashes with prejudice. Carl then steers the conversation to the hot topic of bias against black entrepreneurs. Ethan describes how he was often the only black person in a corporate meeting, how the subtle distrust gnawed at him, how he felt compelled to constantly exceed expectations just to be taken seriously. "For years," Ethan says, "I thought maybe I was the problem. But I realized the system is built in a biased way. If we don't unmask it, talent will remain invisible." The audience, some nodding in agreement, listens intently. The showdown with Colette Rivers. Carl plays a clip from Ethan's intense interview on Sunrise Today. This is the first time many have seen the extended cut. Previously, only snippets were widely shared online. The studio is hushed as Colette's confrontational questions and Ethan's references to escaping a burning building play out. When it ends, the crowd collectively exhales. Some clap. Others shake their heads in sympathy or indignation. Carl turns to Ethan. "Do you regret being so blunt?" Ethan shakes his head, eyes unwavering. "No. I only regret not speaking up sooner. I never intended to cause a scene, but what I said was true. It wasn't just my story, it's the story of many who feel unheard." Applause erupts again, some audience members rising to their feet. A surprise guest, attorney Kayla Jones. Carl then welcomes Kayla Jones, a civil rights attorney who has handled numerous workplace discrimination lawsuits. Poised and confident, Kayla shares the staggering statistics: how businesses owned by people of color receive under 2% of venture capital funding, and the many suits filed against bias in hiring. She turns to Ethan. "You've proven that, with investment, a black-led company can generate tremendous economic value. From a legal perspective, we're still fighting daily to dismantle prejudice. Any thoughts on that?" Ethan exhales, nodding. "We need more transparency across the board. Venture funds, banks, employers must reveal who's funded, who's rejected, who's promoted, who's delayed. Only by making the numbers public can we stop them from pretending the system is fair when it isn't." Kayla smiles in agreement, and applause once more crescendos. After over an hour of dialogue, Ethan, Kayla, and Carl have delved into systemic challenges and possibilities for equitable business environments. In closing, Carl invites Ethan to deliver final remarks. Ethan looks directly into the camera, stage lights illuminating his calm features. "I know some of you listening agree because you've lived through it, and some of you are shaking your heads, thinking this is exaggerated. But let me say this: if you truly believe in fairness, you must face the reality that we're not yet fair." He pauses, voice lowering. "Don't use a single successful black individual to dismiss the myriad hurdles everyone else still faces. I succeeded not because the system is just fine, but because I had to work twice as hard. And so many others out there deserve the same opportunity to show what they can do. The studio sits in rapt silence before exploding into applause. Some are visibly emotional, others hastily recording posting the event. Carl Hess offers a concluding word. This discussion isn't merely about one entrepreneur, but about faith and courage to speak up for what's right. Thank you, Ethan Miles. When the taping ends, Ethan and Aisha step off stage to a flurry of handshakes and supportive hugs. Kayla Jones suggests organizing a conference for minority-owned startups, and Ethan agrees to discuss it further. Still, Ethan knows the media's attention can shift in an instant. Replaced by the next sensational headline. Lasting change takes more than a single interview. Ethan, Aisha calls. They're waiting for you outside. As they enter the lobby, a group of black college students greets him enthusiastically. We look up to you. You've inspired all of us. Ethan smiles warmly. Thank you. Keep pushing forward, and don't be afraid to speak out. The future belongs to those who won't settle. Observing from the side, Aisha feels a surge of emotion, realizing these uplifting moments are the true purpose behind everything. Though the media storm rages on and social networks keep buzzing, Viridian Tech receives more partnership offers. Some previously uninterested partners return, seeking collaboration. More interestingly, a powerful finance conglomerate run by a black female executive named Marilyn Gray shows interest in investing to help Viridian Tech expand into global cybersecurity. Meanwhile, the company contends with both new opportunities and fresh obstacles, hiring more staff, scaling infrastructure, and boosting security measures against lingering threats. Late one afternoon, Ethan sits alone in Viridian Tech's large conference room. The lights are off, leaving the fading daylight through the panoramic window. He looks out at the city. Headlights flickering below like a river of stars. In the silence, he recalls his mother's words when he lost a college scholarship years ago, "Don't ever let anyone tell you you can't. Ethan. If you truly want it, you'll find a way." Those words fueled him to fight every barrier in his path. Now, he's at a place where his voice is heard, not just for himself, but for countless others aspiring to stand where he does. He picks up his phone and emails Kayla Jones. Kayla, I've been thinking about the conference idea. Count me in and I'm willing to help fund it. Let's make it happen. He hits send and leans back in his chair, closing his eyes. Though drained, a faint smile curves his lips. This ending isn't just a singular victory but the opening of a continued journey. Ethan Miles has shown a fundamental truth: success doesn't magically erase injustice. Rather, it highlights the inequities that remain. He has chosen to rewrite the rules of a system never intended for people like him. And instead of stopping at that, he's determined to ensure more people walk through the door he pried open. Ethan's story goes beyond highlighting racism or discrimination. It emphasizes resolve, belief, and responsibility. Each of us, in our own sphere, can take steps, no matter how small, to dismantle ingrained prejudice. During his Insight Today interview, Ethan pointedly remarked, "Don't cite one successful black individual as proof that everything is fine. Instead, let's open up opportunities so that we're not constantly asking, did they make it because of special treatment? Or because they're genuinely good?" His lesson is clear: speak up, and never retreat before bias. If you do succeed, share that success and convert it into an engine to lift others. For many, this tale stands as a beacon of inspiration, reviving the belief that no one is alone in their fight to find a seat at the table. For others, it might merely be the latest trending news. But in the end, what truly matters is the seed of awareness that's been planted, one that may well grow into real change. And you, what do you think? Perhaps Ethan Miles's journey is living proof: rather than simply follow unjust rules. Have the courage to stand and rewrite them. Who knows, your own story might be the next spark, lighting a fire of hope for those searching for the rightful seat they've long been denied. Ethan Miles's story isn't merely about discrimination or injustice. It conveys a deeper message of willpower, belief, and responsibility. Each one of us, in our own place, can take steps, however small, to gradually dismantle long-standing barriers. During the Insight Today interview, he stated, "Don't point to a single successful black individual as proof that the system is fine. Instead, create an environment where every talent can shine." So we no longer keep asking, did he make it because of a special advantage or because he's truly good? The lesson we can draw from Ethan is, seize the opportunity to speak up. And never back down in the face of bias. And if you do succeed, share it and turn it into a driving force to uplift others. For many, this story serves as a source of inspiration, sparking the hope that they are not alone in the struggle to find their rightful place in society. For others, it might be just another media buzz. But in the end, what matters most is that the seeds of awareness about fairness have been planted, and they will continue to grow in the future. As for you, what do you think? Perhaps Ethan Miles's journey stands as proof that, rather than conform to an unjust system, we should have the courage to rewrite it. And who knows, your own story might be the next spark, fueling hope for those still searching for the seat at the table they have always deserved.